Take me to work. Alright, so I'm starting a new thing with the old car here. I'm actually letting it pull into the driveway, in and out of the driveway. I used to stop it at our, like at the start of our driveway, but now I let it bring it in. And what was weird is, like, before it would stop, so we have a gate, and so it would stop at the gate, and I would have to drive it in from there. Then one day I'm like, I'm just gonna try it. So I hit the gate open, and it just drove in, and then back into the garage like I usually do. And I usually only back in when I'm charging, so, because I have to reach the cord, but in this case it just does it every time, and I'm like, well, whatever. So I started having to doing it. Now I'm having to pull out of the driveway. It waits for the gate to automatically open. It just keeps going. I mean, again, I can't overstate just how great the technology is in this truck. I mean, you can see the stats. They started this new thing called Streak, like how many miles, you're letting it self-drive. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, every time I stop and start again, it starts to streak over. But, like, I'm letting it park in parking lots. I'm letting it do all kinds of stuff. And that new feature, the summon feature, is just crazy cool. I mean, it's just the neatest thing, because the car actually drives itself, which hopefully sooner than later, that's going to be the case. I really think, because when I bought this truck, it was a weird experience, because you're used to dealing with the salesman, and they're pushing for this, and then you got to deal with the finance manager, and they're pushing for you to buy extras and all this other stuff. When I bought this Tesla, and I don't know if it's every case, but you go in, you schedule a test drive, I think on their website or their app. You go in, you're greeted by a guy. Says he's not a salesman, he just loves Teslas and started working there 5 years ago or whatever it is. He gets you in the car and you go. I mean, what I would have liked is a little bit of an explanation of how to actually drive the thing, but so I'm test driving it. I'm doing the driving feature where it drives itself. I'm like, this is insane. And this was like, what, a year and a half ago. So this probably 10 updates since then that's brought this thing up to even more functionality. And then you pull it back in and you're like waiting for the close or them to push something, and like, no, how'd you like it? Blah, blah, blah. Go over a couple things. Here's the, I don't know what, I can't remember how the financing worked. I ended up leasing, so I think they just kind of gave you a pad and you filled out an application and see if you qualified. And they're like, okay, we'll clean one up for you, and you can pick it up. I can't remember if I picked it up the next day but I remember picking it up and being like, that was the weirdest experience, because there was no pressure, nothing. Oh, and when I did the final purchase, it was through the app. So it's like they want you just to buy it through the app. And I can see a day when you're like, I need a new truck. Go on the app. There's some discounts, I guess. They had a discount. I can't remember what the discount was for this vehicle. I think maybe because it was a 2024 and I was buying it at 25. I don't know what it was, but you're gonna go on the app, say okay, agree to the payment, boom, bam, fill out a couple of forms, sign a couple things, and then the truck will literally drive to your house. I see that happening in the not too distant future, to be honest with you. As soon as they get the full autonomous driving, which I'm sure it's the government that's, stopping them from doing that, because I mean, supposedly they've driven like billions of miles with the self-driving, and you know, it's been tested every which way. Every once in a while, you'll see some stupid news story about you know, a Tesla that's supposedly on auto driving that crashes into a house or something, which I really find it hard to believe. And then when you see the news story and you read the comments, and people, like 90% of the people are in disbelief that that would ever happen, because anybody that has one of these cars knows these things are super cautious. They're super conservative drivers, you know, and the speed that it hit that house, I don't know, it was like 80 miles an hour or something crazy. So unless it was like some weird road situation that where there was a hill, but it just didn't make any sense, because I don't think the car in auto drive would go that much over the speed limit and crash into a house. So, well, we'll see. And it's just great technology. The future is so bright. You know, the one thing I wish that Anthropic would bring back Fable 5. You know, we got a sweet taste of 3 days of awesome AI, you know, finally an AI that's smarter than a human. And it's funny, you see the memes now, and they compare, you know, Fable 5, the legend of Fable 5, to then Opus 4.8, which is the current model, the highest current model that you can use. And they show, like, you know, the Opus 4.8 is just a drooling idiot, basically. Which isn't necessarily true, but the Fable 5 was just, it is the next level. And you just wonder, did they do that? I don't know, because the government was involved, and they did shut them down. And there's, you know, little stupid things come out about, you know, what really happened. Like, supposedly the Mythos was used by the Defense Department or something, and it ended up getting into all the files that you know, breaking in or whatever to the files and getting access to all the government military files. I don't know if that would have caused them to pull the whole system offline for the whole world, but, you know, hopefully that's going to be back soon. Supposedly they made a deal. Supposedly they're working on, you know, fixing whatever jailbreak situation there was. But honestly, I've got some legal stuff I wanted to go over, and when I had to go over stuff before, it really did a much better job of research and developing, you know, case theory and everything like that. So hopefully it comes back sooner than later, so I can get back to my smarter brain. Plus, I've got a bunch of projects I wanted to work on. You know, one thing that people don't, I don't know, some people do, I guess, nerds like me that are in so deep into AI. I was thinking about this morning when I was getting ready, you know, all the different things I have that thing doing now. You know, every change on the website, creating new blog posts for the website, doing research for the website, creating landing pages for different campaigns. It has complete control over my meta campaigns. I've got it doing the storm hit. I went in there, boom, boom, boom. Took me about 40 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll say an hour to get a whole meta campaign targeted at a certain area of where a storm hit. Now, I made one mistake. So I guess when you put a pin or a town in in your meta campaign, it does an automatic 10-mile radius. And we only wanted to stay in the town. So when it did the radius, it covered a bigger area. And so I actually saw the ad, and I was about 10 miles away from or 9 or 10 miles away from where the actual town was that we were trying to target. So I told it. It went in. Oh, I see. Blah blah blah. It changed the radius to 3 miles around. It pinned and did a 3-mile radius. We came up with a bunch of different creatives so people didn't get exhausted by what they were seeing. The big thing is so we've got these campaigns running, and I've got pretty low dollars. I'm just kind of testing and getting a feel for it. I have some campaigns going to a landing page. I have some using the Facebook form. Supposedly they're supposed to be sending an email. I should check that, confirm that that's happening from the Facebook form. But it's that easy, and that's how ingrained it is. I wouldn't even think about opening up the meta, campaign. Not that I don't think it's not that hard to do. It's just that why not just tell this thing to do it, and it creates it and gets it approved, and it's done. So, and then I'm thinking I've got 3 legal situations or more that I've got the thing dealing with. I'm working with my attorney on one case where we're going back and forth. And it's funny because I don't know anything about the law. I don't even pretend to know anything. I read a legal document, and when it starts with here cometh blah blah blah, I'm just like and I just zone out because it's so. Lawyers create laws and legal procedures in their own language on purpose, so you have to hire an attorney to do everything. It's insane. You have a corporation, and the law is you need to be represented by an attorney. It's, but an individual can represent themselves. So it's set up. Judges, politicians are mostly all lawyers, so they get into power and they create laws that favor lawyers, and the judges, speak the language of the lawyers, and the lawyers have their own language, and it's all this big thing that's, to push people to hire an attorney and not try to do the legal stuff yourself. And there's going to be a big push with this AI in the legal system because, it can research, it can find things, it makes connections that you may not have thought of. It can research and read what would take a human, days. It can do it in an hour. So it's just amazing. But I've got it working on a service agreement for when we do repairs and warranty work, because we ran into this situation. It happens probably twice a year where you're working on something. In this case it was a roof, and they had a air conditioning line that was attached right to the bottom of the roof deck. And we were just doing a small repair. I don't even know if it was like a shingle replacement or it was something small where we were just nailing in a few nails. And, he ends up hitting the pipe, releases all the Freon. And so the homeowner took it upon himself to immediately get an air conditioning guy out there, and $1,800 later they had to fix the pipe and they had to recharge the Freon. So, and homeowners don't understand that, hey, it's really not the way that should have been installed. There shouldn't be anything that's immediately under the deck, especially when roofing nails are going to penetrate the deck. That's basically they're designed to go through a little bit, because then it gives it a better grip, I guess. But so luckily the homeowner was a little understanding, and we ended up splitting the bill with them. But it's still a situation where, I mean, how are we gonna know that? And we run into it too, same thing, air conditioning lines and walls when we're installing siding, electrical conduit or Romex or whatever in the wall, and we nail in and it ends up shorting something out. And you know, the homeowners always freak out, and they always, oh, you did this. It's like, the truth is like, there shouldn't be anything there where we're nailing. And the fact that there is an issue. And even if it was supposed to be there, how are we supposed to know it's there? So I put together a service agreement. So anytime we do a warranty work or any kind of repair work, the service tech will have them sign this agreement that just says we're not responsible for anything that gets damaged from unforeseen circumstances, like a nail, and it specifically says a nail into an air conditioning line, a nail into a conduit. And I don't know. It'll probably be a situation where we'll have to pay for part of it, but hopefully not all of it, just to stay good on customer service. Because the situation for this $1,800 repair was a warranty claim. So they had something happen, you know, a wind event or something caused a shingle to blow off. I don't know exactly what the details were, but anyways, I have Claud working on this thing, and it researches and it finds out. I've got another thing where there's a land lease. This land lease, I'm having it review. I've got it. Whenever there's a situation like a collection situation, or, you know, either way, we're trying to collect or somebody's trying to collect from us, it helps me negotiate. So there's so many different things this thing can do, and it's really, you know, I really want to start some sort of AI business to where either I'm helping other people use the AI, or I'm using the AI to create something that's, you know, the best case scenario would be like something like faceless channels, or something where it's going to make money and doesn't depend on customers. You know, it's just something that I can do on the side. But we'll have to see. Kind of waiting for the Fable to come back, because then I can go through and really, you know, have a strong. To me, the biggest difference was how detailed and how much smarter the Fable was compared to Opus. And like, you could give it a goal and it would work through the goal and come up with, you know, a plan, and then a solution, and then an execution of the plan. And so, you know, there's a lot you can do. So anyways, I'm about to pull into the office. We've got a Friday sales meeting. We're a little bit below our, well, I won't say a little bit, we're significantly below our sales goal, but I kind of anticipated that. I thought the sales reps set the goal a little higher than maybe they should have, knowing the seasonality of the business. Generally, we're busiest in the spring, March, April, May, and then June, July, into August, we kind of have a lull for the summer, and then the fall is like our big season, September, October. You know, is usually when we have the biggest push. People want to get their projects done before the winter, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see. I know there's some big sales yesterday, so I'll have to look at the final numbers and see what else people have that they can bring in before the end of the month. But It's exciting. But I think that's all I got for today. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you later.